Welcome back to the GSMC Dead Ball Sports Podcast, hosted by GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Nolan Jambert. Today, we're talking NBA and NFL. It's just, I was going to talk about the MLB today, but I feel like, there wasn't a lot of, news I wanted to cover in the MLB today. So today we're thinking, like we have been for the, past two segments or so, 3 NBA and 2 NFL. That's just kind of the way it's been. I think it's, there's a lot talking about in the NBA world. We got the playoffs happening right now. The lottery just happened last night. That's a lot to talk about. I could talk about 5 seconds between just those 3 topics. I really could. But we're doing NBA and NFL to kind of spice it up. It's the same stuff every day, but it's new news every day. So I got to cover it. And today, like I said, for our 5 topics, we're talking NBA. We're talking and they previewing tonight games. Talk about the lottery. Then talk about the New York Giants, ended off talking about Chicago Bears. But before we get into any of that, tips and donations. Tips and donations are always greatly appreciated. By tipping and donating, you guys are showing you guys are caring about the content we're putting out. And we're putting out the best content we possibly can every day. So if you do wish to show your support by tipping and donating, and you happen to be in the live stream, feel free to do that by using the super chat and the sticker feature. If you're not in the live stream and you wish to tip or donate, feel free to do that by using the 2 links in the bio and in the description. Even if you don't wish to tip or donate and you still want to show your support, feel free to leave a comment in the live stream comment section. That's the best way to do it. If you want your comment to be seen, make sure to put it in there so we can see it, respond to that right away. So, like I said, if you do wish to tip or donate, however, and you're in the live stream, feel free to do that by using the super chat and the sticker feature. And if you're not in the live stream, the 2 links in the bio and in the description. With that being said, let's talk some sports. First topic of the day, I haven't really changed this title. I don't think I really need to. We're just recapping games, and that's honestly all I have to do. I don't really have to change the title, so that's kind of nice. But we're talking about the games from last night. And both games, honestly, did not go the way I thought they were. I had the Celtics winning and the Warriors winning, and both teams lost. So let's talk about that. So, talk about the Celtics versus New York Knicks series, Knickerbockers, that name. Let's talk about that series first. I really believe that last night the Boston Celtics are going to go into the Garden and win. I truly believe they'd go in there and take the series 2-2, tie it up instead of being down. But the New York Knicks, they played their best ball. They really did. Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson. When I was watching last night, I know he did, but every time I saw Mikal Bridges shoot, I don't think he missed it. I really don't. I know that he didn't shoot 100%, but I feel like he just wasn't missing last night. Jalen Brunson, clutch player of the year. He just played phenomenal the entire night. Josh Hart, I've been noticing, for his position, he's always in foul trouble. I've noticed this a lot. Josh Hart is one of the most aggressive guards in the league, or small forward, whatever you have him listed as, whatever, most is a guard though. But he is always just in foul trouble all the time. Every game he's been in, I swear, he's in within the third, early fourth quarter, he's already in 4 or 5 fouls. He's already in foul trouble. But, that means, he's playing aggressive, so it's good for the Knicks. But this game just didn't go the way I expected it to be honest. I really believed that the Knicks were going to lose. So the Celtics would come in, dominate. I guess they wouldn't say dominate, but tie the series up 2-2 heading back to Boston for Game 5. But I was wrong. And now, with the Knicks win, they can go into Boston and beat them after nobody believed that the Knicks would go in and beat the Celtics. No one did. I thought it was going to be Celtics in 5. Guess it's going to be Knicks in 5. It's completely switched. The script has flipped on itself. It's insane. But it does, the biggest story out of last night isn't the Knicks win. Well, if you're a Knicks fan, it is. But Jason Tatum most likely tearing his Achilles. That's horrible because now the Celtics are in a horrible spot. They lost, their key player, Jason Tatum. He is their guy. He is Boston's guy. And tearing your Achilles is horrible. It's like a 9, 10 month recovery process. And if you rush it, you don't come back better. You hurt it again, putting it out even longer. And rushing an Achilles tear is horrible. It really is. So the Celtics are in a bad spot now because next year they're gonna have to basically redo their whole offense. Jalen Brunson, he's not Jalen Brunson, Jalen Brown, he's gonna be their number one guy. He will be the Celtics their go-to guy, and they won't have all the weapons. Porzingis, Drew Holiday. I mean, they're gonna get rid of somebody, whether it be Holiday, Derek White. They're gonna get rid of somebody to free up some cap space because they are spending so much money on all their superstars. Brunson, Brown. No, why do I keep saying Brunson? I'm sorry. It's because Jalen Brunson, Jalen Brown. Tatum, Brown, Porzingis, White, Holiday. I mean, you could say Peyton Pritchard. I mean, Luke. I mean, he's not getting a huge contract, but still, like this. Al Horford too. That's a big one. This Celtics team is in a weird spot with him being hurt now. They have a lot to work on. They really do. They have they got something to what are we gonna do in this offseason? Because this series is very very on, I guess you could say, on thin ice or whatever. But the Celtics really don't have are not in a position to come back. They're really not. I do not see them coming back down 3-1 in this series. I really do not. I think the Knicks will win their next game and win it 5. Which is something I did not see that coming. No one did. I don't think anybody on this planet saw that coming. And it's kind of insane to think about, really. So, honestly, the Celtics are in a tough spot right now, with them not only losing their star player, but now having to worry about next season, who they're going to sign, who they're going to get rid of, all that. It's crazy to think about. But, yeah, this series has been nuts because no one saw this coming. No one saw the Celtics being down 3-1 to the Knicks in Game 5. No, people were saying 4-0. I saw a lot of Celtics fans on Twitter after their first round win against Orlando saying, yeah, like we want like Detroit or New York, like whoever they want, because a lot of them were saying they're gonna 4-0 New York, and even me, obviously I'm a Pistons fan. You can see the jersey, the Grant Hill jersey back there, 33. I mean, all time great Piston, but I'm a Pistons fan, and I wanted to see the Celtics win. I didn't want to see the Knicks to succeed because we just lost to them. So, but seeing them dominate, it was kind of crazy. The Pistons may have taken the Knicks to more games than the Celtics did. And that's crazy to think about. No one saw that coming, I'll tell you that. But, after the Knicks beat us, they were all chanting, like, we want Boston. And a lot of Celtics fans are saying, no, you don't. Like, you don't want us. And they really did. Those Knicks fans, those Knicks players, they really did. They really want Boston. The rivalry there is just insane. So, hats off to New York for playing a great series. They've been playing great this whole playoff. They really have. Mikal Bridges has really stepped up for the Knicks this playoff, like this series, and it's really helped them get to where they are. I really believe this is kind of, this is honestly because of Mikal Bridges playing so well this series. He's dropping 25 every game this series. He's playing phenomenal. But hats off to the Knicks, man. I did not see this coming. I'll tell you that. But there was another game from last night, Warriors, Timberwolves, and I said yesterday on my show, I said, this is a must-win game for the Warriors. It wasn't, a kind of important game. It was a must-win game for the Warriors. And they, in fact, did not win. They lost, and they're now down 3-1. So what are they going to do? Steph Curry, he might be getting rushed back to play. Normally the timeline was for potentially him returning for Game 5 or Game 6. And with them now being down 3-1, they might rush him out to get him out there by Game 5 to try to keep them in the series. And that could be good. Playoff Steph Curry and playoff Jimmy Butler, they're both, great players. So this could work well for them because we saw how good the Warriors are when they're healthy. They obviously, they beat the 2-seeded Rockets. They were playing great against the 4-seeded or the 6-seeded Timberwolves. And let's be honest, the Timberwolves are better than the 6 seed. They are a lot better. They honestly could be a 2 or 1 seed. They're that good of a team. I really believe that. But the, you know, having the Warriors win a game with him being gone, without Curry. They had Curry for 2 games, 2.5, not even 2.5. They lost with their first game. In the game that they won, Curry played for 13 minutes and had 13 points. And he had 30 points his first game too. I mean, the Warriors are a great team when healthy. They just happen to get hurt at the worst possible times. So they might rush Steph Curry back for game 5 to try to, keep them in it. But I'm not sure how healthy he is, if he's able to actually compete, if he's able to, stay healthy and, be healthy enough to go out there and play his best game. So we'll have to wait and see what the Warriors do, but they're in a tough spot right now. It's either they rush it and possibly risk another injury out of him, or rest him and just go on the next year, because they're not going to come back without him. They really won't. So at this matter of time, it's okay. What are we going to do? Rest him and hopefully he comes back better next year, or rush him out and try to come back down 3-1. With that team, the team they have when healthy, Jimmy Butler, Moses, Buddy Hield, Steph Curry. I mean, that's a great team. So they could definitely come back down 3-1, but they'd be in a really tough spot to do so. I'll tell you that. Sorry, gotta rub my eye real quick. Something a minute. I think it's like a hair in my eye or something. That's weird. But that's all I got for this segment. Next segment, we're talking about the games for tonight, and NBA games. After that, talking about the NBA lottery that happened last night. It's crazy what happened over there. Going to the NFL after that, talking about the Giants, and then ending off talking about the Chicago Bears. We'll get to all that after the break.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, I'm losing shit. A stupid myth, you choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
One more sip, sorry. I was mid-sip when it ended, so I had to kind of rush it, but, slow it down a little bit, so we're good. But welcome back to the GSMC Dead Ball Sports Podcast, hosted by GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Nolan Jaber. First segment, we talked about the games from last night, 2 NBA games from last night. This segment, we're previewing the 2 games tonight. After this, I'll just get that on there now. Bang. After this segment, we're talking about the NBA lottery. Talk about what happened, basically, the outcomes of that. Segment number 4, talk about the Chicago, New York Giants, ending off talking about the Chicago Bears. With that being said, before we get into that, tips and donations. Tips and donations are always greatly appreciated. By tipping and donating, you guys are showing that you guys care about the content we're putting out, and we're putting out the best content that we possibly can. So if you do wish to tip or donate and you happen to be in the live stream, feel free to do that by using the super chat and the sticker feature. And if you're not in the live stream, the 2 linked in the bio and in the description. Even if you don't wish to tip or donate, you still want to show your support, feel free to do that by, leaving a comment. If you leave a comment in the YouTube comment section, live stream comment section, it doesn't matter. I'll get to that as soon as possible, but preferably live stream comment section. I'll see that right away, so I'll be able to respond to that as quickly as possible. and you guys can keep, sending in comments back to back, just keep, I don't know, when you guys leave comments, it's awesome being able to, kind of like pause my topic and just talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. That's what I'm here for. It's my job, and talking sports is just fun. So I love doing that. So feel free to leave a comment. But like I said, if you do wish to tip or donate and you happen to be in the live stream, feel free to do that by using the super chat or the sticker feature. And if you're not in the live stream, the 2 links in the bio and in the description. With that being said, let's get into topic number 2 for the day, which is, once again, previewing the 2 NBA games for tonight. The 2 NBA games tonight, they happen to be, game 1 is the Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Indiana Pacers. Sorry, I don't know why I lost track there for a second. But game number 2, Oklahoma City Thunder versus the New York Nuggets, which is, also a good game. They're both great games, don't get me wrong. But, the Pacers are, there's one series, I guess you say, better than the others. And I do believe it's the Nuggets series that is better than the first series, Indiana versus Cleveland, because it's a lot closer. Not just, the record shows it, but I think the games are just better to watch. These Cleveland games they're watching, these Cleveland Indiana Pacer games, are absolute blowouts. They're just not even close at all. And you can't tell me I'm wrong. You really, last game, the score at halftime was 80-39 in favor of Indiana. That is insane to think about. 80-39 in favor of Indiana at halftime. They were up 41 points at halftime. That's insane. And granted, they had some players out. Donovan Mitchell was doing the best that he could. And tonight, the Cavs are healthy. The ESPN has no one listed out as questionable or injured. Everybody's back and healthy tonight, so they'll have their big 3 again in Mobley, Darius Garland, and Donovan Mitchell. But you're already down 3-1. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Cleveland's done it before. They've come down 3-1 and they've came back. So this is a weird, situation for them to be in, because being down 3-1 is never a good thing. It never is. Being down 3-1 is the worst thing that can happen to to your team, I guess, to your organization. But Indiana has been dominant this whole series. They really have. Every game they've won, they have done it with assertiveness. Besides, even I'll say that buzzer beater Tyrese Halliburton had, that was dominant. He gets his own rebound, they're on the free throw, they miss, gets the rebound, takes it out. No reason to take it out. They didn't need a 3. They only needed a 2. They were down 2. But he's like, what? I'm gonna do my own thing. Miles Morales, I'm gonna do my own thing. And takes out beyond the 3-point line, half court, sets up a quick offense. He goes, I'm gonna do it myself. Pulls up 3, bang. Dominant. Tyrese Halliburton really is one of the most underrated players in the NBA right now. That anonymous player poll a few weeks ago that I covered and that was released, I believe he was the person voted as the most overrated player. Look at him now. Look at him now. He's just dominated this whole playoff. Beat the Bucks in 5. Could beat the number 1 seed Cleveland Cavaliers in 5. He is that good of a player. And like I said earlier, the Cavs have nobody listed as out. They don't. They have their whole team is listed as healthy right now. But I just don't think it matters. I really don't. I think this whole playoff series, I think the series is over. I really do. I think Cleveland loses tonight. Indiana takes it in 5 and makes their way back to the Eastern Conference Finals, where they honestly could end up. Well, they won't get swept again. If they play Boston, they will win. If they play the Knicks, they will win. I think the Pacers, as of right now, if they beat the Cavaliers in this series, which they should, they will make it to the NBA Finals. I truly believe that. They are one of the best teams in basketball right now. Especially, they're the best team in the Eastern Conference right now. Dude, there's only 4 teams left. I'll say this: they were honestly the most slept on team in the playoffs. like so far. Like this whole year, they were the most slept on team, maybe behind the Clippers. Even though the Clippers lost first round, they were still so dominant. They were just so good. But the Pacers in the East were the most underrated team, and they were the most underrated team, second most underrated team in the playoffs behind the Clippers. So yeah, I think tonight Indiana takes it home. I think they beat the Cavs, maybe in dominant fashion again, but like I said, the Cavs' whole team is back. They're healthy, so it's all a matter of how well do Mobley and Garland want to show out. That's the matter. That's what it's all about. If they want to show out or if they don't, who knows? Other games tonight, we got the Denver Nuggets versus the Oklahoma City Thunder, which is the best series in basketball. Denver has had the two best series so far this year. They had Game 7, Denver versus LA, the Clippers. Even though it was heavily in favor of the Denver Nuggets that fourth quarter, honestly, the entire game, they still went to Game 7. And this series right here, Denver versus OKC, could go to 7 as well. I believe it will. Aaron Gordon has proved himself to be one of the best playoff basketball players right now. In this time and date, throughout this postseason so far, he has proven to be one of the most clutch players a team can have. He has stated multiple times that he wants to get Russell Westbrook a ring, and win his first championship. And through his play, you can see he really wants that. He really wants to get Russ his first ring, and this whole team is just playing so good. Jokic is playing still phenomenal. Russ is coming off the bench, playing great defense and playing good offense. Jamal Murray. Michael Porter Jr. has been shooting great this series to the Nuggets, and Aaron Gordon has just proven to be one of the most valuable players this team can have. On the other side of the ball, you got the OKC Thunder. Obviously, SGA and Jokic are, the MVP matchup. They're playing against each other. They're both playing, not as dominant as everybody else thought they would be, but they're playing great basketball. They're playing good. Chet Holmgren, Hartenstein, they're playing great. Jalen Williams, Lou Dort. I mean, this series is just like the last series for Denver. Is so evenly matched up. These teams are so evenly comparable to skill. It's insane. That's why I believe this series goes to 7, just based off how skillful, how evenly matched these teams are from one player to another. Hartenstein versus Jokic. I mean, Hartenstein isn't as good as Jokic, but he's good enough to slow him down a little bit. Oh, excuse me, I keep yawning. Not quite sure why, but Hartenstein is proved to be a great player against Jokic this series. SGA on Jamal Murray. I mean, Jamal Murray is kind of known not to be the best defender, but he's still playing good. You can't deny he's still playing great. Aaron Gordon on Jalen Williams, great matchup. Michael Porter Jr. and Lou Dort, another good matchup. I mean, it's just been great matchups all around. And that's why this series, I think, will go to 7. And hopefully in favor of Denver, because I would not be opposed to see Denver going back to, the Western Conference Finals / the NBA Finals. But who knows? I mean, this series is so evenly split, it can go either way. So, tonight, who's going to win, Denver, OKC? Who knows? It's a toss-up. It really is. This series is so unpredictable, no one knows. But I do hope Denver wins and takes a 3-2 lead. That's what I hope. That's all I got for this segment. Next segment, stick with the NBA. Go into the NBA lottery that happened last night. Then, after that, we're going to the NFL, talking the New York Giants and the Chicago Bears. We'll get to all that after the break.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, Now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
Welcome back to the GSMC Dead Ball Sports Podcast, hosted by GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Nolan Jammer. First 2 segments, talking NBA as always. Talk about the games from last night and preview the games for tonight. Segment 3, we're talking about the NBA lottery that happened last night. Talk about that. Segment 4 and 5, talking NFL, talking about the New York Giants and just what's going on over there, and the Chicago Bears. So, NBA lottery. Let's sit for a moment. NBA lottery. You know, it's just nuts. It really is. A team with a 1.8% chance to get the first overall pick gets the first overall pick. And that team happened to be the team that traded away Luka Doncic, the Dallas Mavericks. Sit, let it think. Am I calling for a rigged NBA draft? Am I calling for, a scandal? Maybe. Maybe I am. Maybe they just got lucky, Maybe the Mavs just got lucky. I mean, 1.8% chance when there was 3 teams that had a 14% chance. The Utah Jazz, Washington Wizards, and the Charlotte Hornets. They each had a 14% chance to get the first overall pick. Then you had New Orleans at like 10% to 10.5. And you had the 76ers at 9.5. And a team that not only made the NBA play-in, won a game, and then was 1 game off of making the playoffs, won the NBA draft. That's unbelievable. I'm not saying that it's rigged. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it's rigged. But, there's some questionable plays, questionable, I don't know. It's just weird. This team traded away their future in Luka Doncic. Traded them away for win now Anthony Davis. No disrespect to Anthony Davis. He's a great player. But it's just insane that they would do that. And they now get bailed with the first overall pick. Nico Harrison, I think he made I'm not sure how he managed to, work that out. But he did. And a report just came out, before I started streaming that the what was I gonna say? The Mavericks have no intention of trading that first overall pick. They don't. They have absolutely no intention of trading the first overall pick. And they're going to draft Cooper Flag. And they will have a starting 5 of Cooper Flag, Klay Thompson, Anthony Davis, Kyrie when he's back, and probably like Daniel Gafford. That's their starting 5. Kyrie at the 1 when he's back, Klay Thompson, Cooper Flag, Anthony Davis, and Daniel Gafford. Is that not like that's not that is a very, very, very dominant starting 5. Very dominant starting 5. It really is. So, what do you? I'm not sure. Do you? Now it's questions at play. We're not even talking about like a scandal anymore. We're talking about there was, how do I word this? There was a lot of possibilities going around that, how do they get, this, how do they get this first overall pick? It's the lottery. It's the lottery. It's, it's not, you can't rig the lottery. You really can't. It's not possible to it's not possible to, rig the lottery. And so how do they get this first overall pick? I mean, really, how? Who knows? I was thinking, go back to the live televised version with the balls. Not envelopes, balls. You just kind of grab the you just go spin that. When you're playing like Connect Four or even like the sweepstakes, you're rolling the thing with the balls in it, and then you just pick a ball out and you look at it, and that's how you should do it. I mean, I really think that's the best way to do it. Sorry, my back kind of hurts. Thank you. It's just kind of insane, And there was, even though they already announced that they wouldn't be trading away their first overall pick, they have a lot of options, if they wanted to. They could trade. Honestly, there was a possibility they go and trade it to LA and get Luka back. They, obviously, the number one thing, they could now, with that first pick, go trade with Milwaukee and go get Giannis. Or, the Spurs could do the same. They have a second overall pick. They can go and trade for Giannis and get Giannis and Wembanyama together. Or, I mean, there's just so much, so many possibilities that they could have had. But, I think sticking with, Cooper Flag in the first overall pick is going to be the best thing for them. I really do. It's really just kind of insane to think about that, this team that traded away their franchise guy, the second greatest player in franchise history. Sorry, Luka fans. Like, I love him too, but Dirk is the GOAT. Dirk is, if you think of the Dallas Mavericks, you think of Dirk Nowitzki. NBA Finals, hardest path to an NBA Final ever. I mean, you have to think about that. You went through LA, OKC, and Miami Heat with LeBron. That was the toughest stretch of playoffs probably ever. And Dirk took him through that playoffs he's the GOAT of the Dallas Mavericks. He's a top 3 power forward all time. In top 5. But that's a debate for another time. But he is, they were, go trade. Imagine them trade for Luka back. That'd be insane. Luka and AD together. Oh my, that'd be nuts. But it's just kind of unbelievable. Nico Harris trades their all-time great player, and he gets bailed out now with the first overall pick. That trade is still insane to think about to this day. You trade your franchise guy, your corner, your young star who's only 25 because he's too out of shape. Dude, just put him on a workout plan. Make him run some extra miles or so. But that Dallas food can get to anybody. I'll tell you that. I have my cousins go to Dallas a lot, and they show me like these pictures they get of food there. Oh my! I can see why Luka, the Mavs had questions about his weight. That food looked good. I'll tell you that. But he did get so bailed out of this NBA draft. He really did. He has the first overall pick, and they do intend to draft Cooper Flag with that pick. And last night, I thought it was really funny. When the Mavs got announced their first overall pick, they went and panned the Cooper Flag, and he was just sitting there just kind of like he didn't even he didn't want to get drafted by the Mavs or something like that. I mean, who knows? But he just looked so, unhappy. He looked so dull in that moment. That's the team he's going to go play for a few years, unless, Nico wants to trade him away for an aging, who knows, I don't know, Bradley Beal, or who knows. That's the thing he would do. He would trade, Cooper Flag in for one of honestly the best defensive prospects in a while. He is one of the best defensive players. He's one of the best two-sided of the ball player we've seen in so long. He is so dominant in defense and offense. He's so pure. He is going to be one of the best basketball players on the court. And you can't question his ability to play either. Okay, he didn't win a national championship. He was playing with the Olympic team and doing very well. He was dropping 20 points a game in that Olympic team when he was playing on that practice squad. He is so valuable to any team he's going to go to, which is going to be the Dallas Mavericks. So it's insane to think about that, Nico Harrison's got bailed out like that, but, it's insane. It really is. But at the end of the day, he got bailed. The lottery could be rigged. Is it? I think it used to be. Maybe not now, but it's so insane. I mean, there's no guarantee. I mean, that's why I kind of like the lottery. You can't just tank and get the first overall pick. I do kind of like that. You have to, get lucky too. But it's still kind of insane that, there's teams that really need it, especially, the three teams, Charlotte, Utah, and Washington, are so bad. And they all got 4th, 5th, and 6th picks. Wembanyama and Cooper Flag almost happened. It really did. That combination, oh my gosh. Wembanyama and Cooper Flag almost happened. They have the 2nd overall pick. Insane. But still, I mean, this whole lottery system, it works out well normally. But this year, it just kind of shouldn't have happened. It really should have been Utah, Charlotte, or Washington. But, it's the lottery. So stuff happens. Just how it is, I guess. So I got for this segment. Next segment, we're going to the NFL. The last 2 segments are talking about the New York Giants, segment number 4, ending off talking about the Chicago Bears. We'll get to all that after the break.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, I'm losing shit. A stupid myth, you choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Welcome back to the GSMC Dead Ball Sports Podcast, hosted by GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Nolan Jamber. First 3 segments talked about the NBA, lottery draft. Last segment talked about the NBA games last night and previewed the 2 games for tonight in the first 2 segments. This segment number 4, we're going to the NFL. We're talking about the New York Giants. And after this, ending off talking about the Chicago Bears. So, the New York Giants. One thing I'm going to say about them, this segment's kind of, I'll talk about a few things about the Giants. The first thing is their division, NFC East. They're going to be in a very, very tough division this year. Very tough. Possibly probably one of the hardest, if not the hardest division in NFL this year. You'll have Eagles probably dominating, Commanders also dominating. The Cowboys doing Cowboys things, who knows? They can either be really good or really bad, who knows? And then you got the Giants. The Giants have made a lot of offseason moves. Getting Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston and drafting Jackson Dart out of Ole Miss. So having 3 solid quarterbacks. I mean, you have that vet in Russ, a great teacher in Jameis, and then a young star in Jackson Dart. Abdul Carter, obviously that's huge. And Cam Scatterboo out of Arizona State as another huge pickup for them. I mean, this Giants team has a lot of potential to be a good team. The problem is they're just going to be in such a tough division this year that they may not be able to shine. They may have another 3, 4, 5 win season, but do it in one of the hardest conferences in football this year. It really does suck that they have to go through that. But the one thing I wanted to talk about, why I chose to talk about them today, is because of their strength of schedule. Their schedule this year is the hardest in the NFL by far. And I want to read, just some of the teams they have to play. I think it is honestly insane that they gave it's always like, the worse the team, the harder the schedule, and it's just kind of insane. But I want to talk about who they have to play. So I can probably do an article, so I don't have to go through their schedule. But this is who they have to play, and these are just their home games. Or hang on, let me make sure this is right. Yeah, okay. This is their home games alone, and these are teams that made the playoffs last year. You have the Philadelphia Eagles, obviously, and the Commanders, who are in the divisional, so those were bound to happen. And then you have more teams in the playoffs last year who they also have to play at home. The Packers, the Vikings, the Chiefs, and the Chargers. And also the other 2 home games they have are against the Cowboys, who are in the divisional as well, and the Niners. The Niners are kind of weird. They could be good or bad. So I'm going to read that one more time to show you how dominant that is. Obviously, they got their interdivisional games. They got the Cowboys, Commanders, and Eagles. But then you have the Vikings, Packers, Chiefs, and Chargers. And then obviously in the Niners, who are actually a pretty good team. They're just in a pretty also tough division, so they just can't, dominate as much, play as good, I guess. It's always, these teams that don't deserve the worst and hardest schedule to have the hardest schedule. Like last year, I'm pretty sure the hardest schedule was either the Browns or the Giants again. And the Giants just, they really can't catch a break. Sorry, I'm cleaning off this picture. That looked dust. I don't know, it caught my attention. But this team it's insane just how unlucky they're getting, with schedule injuries, just players not playing well. And, last year, Daniel Jones, they signed him for, what was it? It was a few years ago. They signed him to a 3, 4, 5-year deal for like $200 million. And look at him now. He got cut, and he's like a third string on the Vikings. It's insane. He's in the Vikings. Unless he got traded somewhere else in the offseason that I just didn't hear about. I believe last time I heard he was like a third string on the Vikings. So the Giants are just kind of they're literally a cursed organization. I'll say that. They are a very cursed organization. They just really cannot seem to catch a break when it comes to, anything. They had their time with Eli Manning and, their early 2000s when they were pretty dominant, won 2 Super Bowls. But they haven't done really much since then. They really haven't had the chance to. They just can't seem to get the right team. Their coach, Dable, he blows. I'm going to say that. He's not a good head coach. And I'm not sure if Giants fans agree, but I just think he's a really poor head coach. A few weeks ago during, the draft, an article came out about why the Giants didn't want to take Shedeur Sanders. And one thing that was of note in the article was Dable saying that he didn't want Shedeur because he believed that by drafting him, his dad would try to get involved in the organization and try to take his head coaching spot, which is a very, very weak thing to say. Yeah, someone's going to try to come take your spot because you're not a good head coach, dog. I mean, he's just not a good head coach. He really isn't. And by the fact that he can't take that, the fact that he won't draft a very good quarterback because he believes, it's not even confirmed, he believes his dad would come and try to take his spot, which, I doubt that happens. Shedeur has a very good spot in Colorado, so I wouldn't see him wanting to leave. So the fact that he believed that, he's going to come and try to take my spot, my head coaching spot, actually insane to think about. It really is. I just think that's a very weak thing to think about. Really weak, honestly, that he can't take this phenomenal quarterback talent because, his dad's going to come and try to fight for my spot. You're a head coach in the NFL. There's millions of guys trying to get to your spot all the time. So it's just part of the job, So it's just kind of insane to think, the Giants, they really can't catch a break, Injuries, poor head coaching or just coaching in general, schedule, And they're not even that. Their division, their division is so brutal. It really is. They are going to be in a top 3 hardest division this year, and there's no doubt in my mind that is going to be true. That division, the NFC East, is a top 3 hardest division in the NFL right now. Maybe top 2. I think they could be top 2. My one is obviously the NFC. I think the NFC North is the hardest. I really do. But I mean, that division this year is going to be a bloodbath as well. But NFC East is just up there as well. I mean, last year they had 2 teams make it. NFC North at 3. But honestly, the Cowboys, if Dak never got hurt, they could have made the playoffs last year. Honestly, I believe that. So they could have been 3 teams then in the NFC East and NFC North make the playoffs, but that would have been nuts. So, yeah, the Giants are really just in a, I don't, like the Giants. I'm not a fan of them, but I don't not like them. I'm not going to go out of my way to hate on them. So, when I'm like, when it's football Sunday, I'm just, kind of scrolling through the scores or whatever, and I see the Giants doing well. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, good to see them doing well. I'm not, I don't follow them. I'm not a Giants fan. I rooted for them in the Super Bowl when they played the Patriots. I did like Eli Manning a lot. So I rooted for them then, but that, I was like 5 years old then. So, yeah, I mean, the Giants just kind of get unlucky. They really do. They are a very unlucky organization when it comes to just a lot. They can't seem to get, the season. Their strength of schedule has been hard the past 3 seasons now. It really is insane. So the Giants this year, they could really, kind of prove themselves to be a good team. All these new quarterbacks, great running back room. The wide receiver room is going to be, is good. Malik Neighbors is that good of a receiver. Their defense is their strong suit. Thibodeau, I can't say his last name, Kayvon Thibodeau. They're one of their DNs. Abdul Carter matching, plus Dexter Lawrence. That middle O-line as a nose guard. It's a great D-line to have. So this Giants team could make some noise this year, and I would not be opposed to seeing that at all. Honestly, they could be a really good team this year. But the division is so, deadly that who knows? You never know, honestly. That's all I got for this segment. Next segment, final segment number 5, talk about the Chicago Bears. We'll get to that after the break. Went to the wrong graphic right there. That could have been bad. Welcome back to the GSMC Dead Ball Sports Podcast, hosted by GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Nolan Jamper. First 3 segments, we touched on a lot of NBA, the lottery, talked about the games tonight and the games from last night. Last segment, segment number 4, we talked about the New York Giants. In this segment, the last one of the day, we're talking about the Chicago Bears of the NFC North. The Bears this year made a very interesting decision with their 10th overall pick, taking Colson Loveland, tight end, out of Michigan. University of Michigan, U of M, whatever. And honestly, I wouldn't say it's crazy. It's just an interesting pick. Cole Kmet is a good tight end. Cole Kmet is a solid tight end that the Bears have had for a few seasons now. It never hurts that, add some firepower around your really good young offensive weapons. Obviously, you got, what was he, a rookie last year? Yeah, a rookie in Caleb Williams, another rookie in Roma Duze, and, obviously adding Colson Loveland is a huge, huge addition to this Bears offense. And the one thing about the Bears, their defense is very good. People don't realize that the Bears have possibly one of the best defenses in the NFL when healthy. And last year, that has happened to, not be as healthy. But the Bears are honestly a good team. They really are. They had a lot of injuries last year, and also in a very, very tough division. They happened to go on it was a 10-game losing streak last year, but none of those games are blowouts. Every single one of those games last year was a close game, and they just couldn't finish. The most prominent example, I would say, is their game against the Lions on Thanksgiving. They're down 19-20, 20 seconds left, and instead of, they had one timeout left, and instead of calling it, they ran a play. And the then head coach at the time, who has now been fired, I'm not really sure what he was thinking. I really don't know what he was thinking. I already forgot his name because it's been, it's going to come to me, midway through this segment. I'm going to be like, oh, it was this guy. But, I mean, LaFleur. Yeah. No, that's not the wrong guy. I forgot. But it'll come to me. But, it's insane to think that, a lot of those Bears losses were on playing. It was a lot coaching. A lot of the coaching that the Bears had last season was a lot of their losses was due to very poor coaching. And I thought it was, like I said, a lot of those games they lost weren't blowouts at all. They were, not even one possession games. They were, 3, 4, 5, just really close, maybe like a touchdown or less, like 6 points or less. And they are a good team. The Bears are a very, very underrated team. Their problem is, just like the Giants, like I talked about last segment, they're just in such a tough conference. Very tough division, NFC North. You had three teams make the playoffs last year. Lions are the 1 seed in the NFC. Vikings are the 5 seed. And the Packers were the 7 seed. And, even if, they put up 9 or 10 wins, they weren't making the playoffs. That's just how good the conference division was last year. They were just that good. And, sorry, I'm not sure why I'm yawning. But they're just, the Bears have a lot of potential. They really do. This Bears team is a very special team. They have, like I said, they have added a lot of offensive weapons. Their problem is their offensive line. Their O-line is one of the worst in the NFL. It really is. They're like the Colorado Buffs. They're like that of the NFL. Their O-line is just really bad. It really is. They're just constant pressure on Caleb Williams all the time. And yeah, granted, he's young and he's fast, and he can get out of pockets quick. But when his pocket is collapsing that fast, there really isn't much for him to do. His receivers and his options can get open. He's got some good running backs in that backfield. DeAndre Swift is honestly still a really good running back for them. But there's just their O-line just doesn't do it. Their O-line really just cannot seem to get it done for Caleb Williams. A lot of their losses were because he was taking too many sacks, and he was just forcing bad throws. Try to I don't want to take the sack, I want to get rid of it, or try to run out of bounds. And he really had no options. He couldn't even get out of his pocket in time half the time because it would just collapse so fast because his O-line was so poor, which sucks to see because Caleb Williams, he has a lot of potential. He really does. He's a great player. He was great at USC. And he had a really good rookie year. He really did. Even though the record doesn't show it, he had a great first season. And he honestly, I can see him having, being the first Bears quarterback to throw for 4,000 yards. Hopefully. I mean, he's a great player, a lot of upside, a lot of potential. So I hope he is. I hope he is one of the first quarterbacks to throw for 4,000 yards in a season. He's a lot of weapons now. Loveland, Aduze. You want to go for, a little bubble route out of the backfield. DeAndre Swift, he's still got it. He's just injured a lot, which is his problem. But the Bears have all the weapons in the world to be a good team. The problem is, will their coaching take them far enough to do it? That's the problem. They just, even, they do have a great new head coach, though. Oh, excuse me. They have a great new head coach, old offensive coordinator for the Lions. it sucks. You saw him leave, and watching last season and his past few seasons, he has done nothing but good things to Detroit, and it did suck, seeing him leave, going to interdivisional rival in the NFC North, leaving from Detroit and going to Chicago. That's gonna sting. It did sting seeing him leave and go to a rival like that. But they have a lot of him being there is going to help Williams and that whole team just get in just a lot better. They really will. He has a great offensive mind, and he's going to help that offense thrive. He's going to find ways. He's going to adapt and make ways for that offense to thrive in the NFC North in a very tough division. I think the Bears could make the playoffs this year. I really do. I think they could be a really good team this year with the weapons they have drafted, with the weapons they have already had. They can build around that and become a very good team that could potentially, I wouldn't say win the NFC North, but make a wild card spot or just be like a 5-6 seed in the playoffs. So it's something I hope for. I think they do deserve it. They've had a rough couple of years, and I think it's time for them to finally bounce back and say, we're the team to be. So that's my take. I'm not sure, what'll happen, but that's just what I see happen. I could see it happening. I don't know if it will, but I can see it happening. So that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Dead Ball Sports Podcast, hosted by GSMC Sports Network. Your continuous support really means the world to us, so feel free to like, comment, and share with anybody you know. If you wish to stay up to date with all things GSMC, make sure to follow us on social media, with that being X, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. We're on it. So if you want to stay up to date, just go to any social media, search GSMC Sports Network, and hit us with a follow and turn on those post notifications. But like I said, thank you for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day. I'll talk to you all very soon. Have a good one.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great.